If I'm never remembered for anything else, it'll be my business card for sure. So,
and the jelly beans.
And the jelly beans. We call it democracy, and democracy can be pretty fragile at times. A healthy community is a wealthy community. If you and I were right here 100 years ago or more, we'd have been inside of the old jail courthouse building. If you don't know where you've been, there's a good chance you won't know where you're heading. So we try to plan at least 20 years in advance, and that's what we're doing right now.
That's awesome to hear.
And I can remember when some of the Muslim population started moving to Milton, I welcomed them.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmed Ramadan for Muslim Network TV, and this is GTA Muslims Today. Today we have a special guest, the longest serving mayor in Canada, Mayor Gordon Krantz. We're going to learn a lot about the town of Milton and about his career serving as mayor. Mayor Gordon, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks very much for doing this interview. I think it's always very important to inform, as I call it, the wide world out there, what we do here in the town of Milton, the region of Halton, great province of Ontario, and this great nation, Canada. And thanks very much for doing this.
No, thank you for taking the time. I actually live in Milton. I really like Milton, and it's great for me personally to learn more about the town and how it's changed over the years, especially since you've started. And actually, maybe this could be the first question. You've been serving as mayor for almost 45 years. Yes. What have you seen change in that time? Obviously, a lot has changed, but from your perspective.
Well, certainly the population has changed. When I was first elected as a councillor in 1965, I was a councillor for 15 years prior to being elected as mayor. So I got a total of 60 years roughly in municipal politics. Milton at that particular point in time when I was a councillor was less than 5,000 people. Today, 2025, we're roughly 160,000 people. So when you talk about change, that is a significant change, keeping in mind that in 1973 we went into regional government. And of course there was a lot of amalgamation. So our population at that time went from roughly 15,000 people to roughly 25,000 people overnight because of the amalgamation. So sometimes people aren't aware of that. So a little bit of the facts of how the town of Milton has evolved. And you had mentioned you yourself are a Miltonian. I've said tongue-in-cheek on more than one occasion, there's only two types of people in this world. Those of us who are Miltonians and those of them who wish they were. That's the only difference. So Milton is a great community, and what of course makes it a great community is great people. So
you know what? Like my neighbors are great. We all get along. My kids get along with them. So I do feel that people in Milton do tend to really have a connection with each other, and I've realized that myself.
Yeah, how true that is. Very true. So you'll go down the street, and of course I realize I'm reasonably well known, but people are not afraid to come up and say, "Good morning" or "Good afternoon, Mayor Krantz, how are you?" So you'll find people here on average pretty darn friendly to meet and greet one another, especially newcomers, and there's a lot of newcomers in Milton, and they locate here because of that fact.
So one of the things that really intrigued me about you when the first time we met was when you gave me your card. It was very unique to any other government official that I had met, and there was a story behind it. Do you want to share with us your card and a little bit of that story?
Most definitely. If I'm never remembered for anything else, it'll be my business card for sure. So.
And the jelly beans.
And the jelly beans. I've had jelly bean jar in my office pretty well.
Who had those first, you or Reagan?
Well, Reagan, I believe, probably copied off of me because I was elected a fair bit before President Reagan, but he was also known for his jelly bean jar in his office at the White House. But yeah, getting back to my business card here, it's a four-sided business card, as you can see. Rather unique. Can I take fame and claim for designing this? No, I can't. It was one of my former assistants, Darlene Davison was her name. When I was elected as mayor in 1980, I said, well, I got to have a business card, but I'd like a business card just a little wee bit different. Unbeknown to me that she may come up with a four-sided business card. So away she goes, and she comes back in a few days later, and she says, what do you think? And she had it roughed out on a piece of paper there, a four-sided business card. And I said, I don't know. I don't think too much of that. And the more I thought of it, it was different. It was different. So we perfected it, and of course, as I say, the rest is history. It's changed a little bit over the years, but not a whole lot. But you'll see the present card. This is a true silhouette of the town hall. Right there is my office window, and it's right behind us right now as you and I speak. So what you see on my business card is a true reflection here. Now, as I refer to it very crudely again, on the inside of the business card is, of course, the coat of arms, which I always have, and of course, all the boring information that's in there, all the modern technology. But believe it or not, I'm one of the very few politicians that will have his home phone number in his business card, and as you'll see, it's on the business card.
I think that's
here,
also goes to the accessibility that you have on the card with your window right there, and anybody being able to come to you.
So now today with the internet and social media and all that, over the past 15, 20 years, things have changed a little bit. But in those early days, my wife would field a lot of calls. I didn't mind it at all because I always made it known that I was always going to be accessible. And I'm true to my word right to this very day. But the odd part of my business card as well, on the back of it, there was nothing on the back. But so I'm a politician, so it pays to advertise. So you'll see we have official plans and all those things, and our future is very important to us. But I always figured that Milton was the center of the universe, and you'll see on the back of my business card is Milton in red letters. But I thought, wouldn't it be kind of nice of me to advertise other places that's not as well known as Milton?
Yeah.
This is the irony of it. Places like Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, New York, and Washington. In my research, I found that very few people had ever heard of those places.
That's very nice of you.
Wasn't that nice? Am I exaggerating that point? Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit, for sure. But it does get people's attention, that's for sure. So, hence a little bit of the history.
And then you have the two colors on there.
Yes, true. In Ontario and in Canada, over the many years, there's been two very influential political parties. The PC party that's represented by blue, and of course the Liberal Party that's represented by red. And I know there's another two or three parties as well, but there's only room for two colors on that, and hence that was my decision, and I made it. And it's had that on it pretty well from day one.
Awesome. That's a very cool story, and it's not often you see that people have a story go along with their business card.
How
so
true
we're
that
actually
is.
just approaching the window from the card right here. It's a very nice building that you have here. There's a park here. I know you live very close to.
And it's a beautiful setting, and of course, as we pan around, you'll see with the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 136 here in Milton, they have their cenotaph, and of course, saying thank you to those veterans, both past and present, that's right in our front yard here at the Town Hall of Milton. And of course, I emphasize very much, if it hadn't been for those veterans and honoring them on the odd occasion here, such as Remembrance Day, those individuals that made that supreme sacrifice to give people like me, the freedom. We call it democracy, and democracy can be pretty fragile at times. So when you come out here, you'll always remember how important democracy is to people, not only here in the town of Milton, the region of Halton, province of Ontario, but this great nation of Canada. So this is just a remembrance of that here in this beautiful Victoria Park.
And then I see also the gazebo.
Yes, in the gazebo there's concerts that's held there and other functions. And believe it or not, marriages, people can get married there. We've had a little problem in the past, and it's a nice problem to have. When you would maybe get a wedding party, say on a Friday night or a Saturday, 2 or 3 wedding parties showing up at the same time, created a problem. So there's a very, very small fee now that we get. You could book that gazebo, say on a Saturday, say at 1 o'clock, from say 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, whatever you wanted. So weddings, there's a lot of, or you can take your chances and get married here, but you take a chance on it. especially if somebody had it previously booked. So,
and one of the things Milton is really known for, from my perspective, because I have kids and they love going to the park, is the parks here. And there's one just right here where you see some children there playing.
Well, this is referred to as Victoria Park, and this really is the oldest functional park in the town of Milton. Is right here in front of the town hall. And by the way, for our listeners' benefit, the town hall that you and I are in front of here today, this used to be an old jail, courthouse. When the county of Halton was being formed, this was the county seat here in Milton. So, plus it's a very historical building.
Awesome. So, you've been serving for about 60 years. You've been mayor for 45. What keeps you going? What drives you?
Well, I sometimes will say tongue-in-cheek, there's that Energizer bunny advertisement there for batteries. You keep going and going. And one of the things you have to do, you have to like people and you have to like what you're doing. And of course, those are two of the things that I definitely, work on daily. And I look forward to getting up every morning, coming to work and enjoy what I do, meeting people and being involved in hopefully just making their life a little better every day.
So what is one of the achievements or accomplishments that you're very proud of?
Well, it's a very caring community for sure, and it's a very prosperous community. I often say, physical fitness, and we put a great deal of emphasis on physical fitness because I always say a healthy community is a wealthy community, and believe it or not, we've always been in the top 10 and leaders in that field as being one of the, I'd say, richest or one of the most healthiest and one of the most wealthiest communities there is in the country. So that's one of the things that I'm definitely proud of as well. So that's just one of the things. And of course, the business community. I come in that other life that I used to have. I was a small business person. I was in the wholesale oil and gas business, home heating, stuff like that, service farms. So small business is very, very important to an individual like myself because that was part of my background, and that's what keeps a community going, because without that health and wealth, you don't have a lot going for you.
Tell me, what do you love about Milton?
Well, it's the people that really, and we
did go over that, but it's true. The people are.
Well, the environment. I don't know. A lot of people aren't aware. A lot of the locals are, of course. We have what we refer to as a Niagara Escarpment that runs through the town of Milton. Is designated as a world biosphere. Not only is it a great place to live and work, but the environment, the parks. We just talked a little bit about the parks, but the Niagara Escarpment that I refer to runs from Niagara Falls clean through to Tobermory. I think it's around 800 kilometers long. Very, very much a big part of the Milton community. So that's what makes it a big. The open spaces is really what. Recreation is a big part of that healthy community. Walking trails, biking trails, stuff like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of trails.
All kinds of them in Milton.
I see a lot of ponds when we're walking around everywhere. So, it does add to the whole feeling.
Well, wildlife is very important to, to the environment, not only in this country, but to Milton as well. So we take the environment very, very serious here.
That's awesome.
Okay, we'll head to the town hall now.
So right now we are inside of the town hall. The mayor's office is just over here and we're right outside of it. I could see that this is, a little bit more of the older building. Can you tell us about how this...
Yeah, definitely. If you and I were right here 100 years ago or more, we'd have been inside of the old jail courthouse building. But as you and I go through these archways here, we're entering into an addition that we put onto the town hall right here. If we were here 100 years ago, we'd be outside. So you see the beautiful old arches there. We reconstructed that, but that stone wall that you see all around here, it was kind of an L-shaped building is what it was. So as you'll see where you and I are standing now, this was the addition that we put on in the 80s when we moved into this building. So that's a little bit about where you and I now are. Just outside the mayor's office
Very
in
nice.
a
To be honest,
renovated part.
I love this kind of architecture, especially with the stone inside.
Well, we retained as much as we possibly could. If you and I look up there to those two windows up there, guess what you and I would have seen up there if we'd have been standing outside 100 years ago when this was a jail? That would have been bars and great big heavy screens on those windows. Mind you, a lot of it has been altered, but if you take along the top up there, you would have seen bars and screens on those windows. You see where it says a place of possibility. There would have been two windows exactly like the ones we were just talking about right here. So we've altered it a little bit, but we kept as much of it as we possibly could.
So that's awesome to learn about that, and very interesting to know that this was a jail before.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking us on that tour.
Yeah.
Well,
we're very proud of who we are, and we're very, very proud of our history as well, because I've often said, tongue-in-cheek, if you don't know where you've been, there's a good chance you won't know where you're heading. So I have a crystal ball, as I tongue-in-cheek will say, under my bed. So I take that crystal ball out every morning, polish it up, have a look into it to see where we're heading in this town of Milton for the next. We try to plan at least 20 years in advance, and that's what we're doing right now.
That's awesome to hear. So now time for the tough questions.
Yes.
What's your go-to restaurant or food in Milton?
Well, I'm very hesitant to have a favorite, but Italian food is one of my favorites. And when I go to an Italian restaurant, they usually know that seafood, regardless of what they maybe have on the menu, rather be, a nice piece of, halibut, or rather be a nice piece of trout, or rather be an oyster or a clam or whatever it is. I love all kinds of seafood, and a bit of a lover of Italian food, the pastas especially.
Awesome. So, Milton is one of the highest concentration, not just of multiculturalism, but of the Muslim population as well. Yes. I know you've been invited many times to Eid celebrations, iftars, to the masjid. Yeah. How's your relationship and interaction been when you've visited?
It's been excellent, let me tell you. And they know that I'm genuine and sincere about supporting diversity, and they're well aware of that. And I can remember when some of the Muslim population started moving to Milton, I welcomed them. And some of those people that approached me to assist them, whatever it might be, whether it be a mosque or whatever it is, they're still my close friends right to this very day. And they're well aware that I'm genuinely sincere, and assisted them in many, many ways become integrated in our community, and I know that they're thankful for it, and I'm well aware of that. So
that's awesome, excellent to hear.
Yeah.
My last question to you is, you've been serving for a very long time. You have a lot of wisdom. What would you give advice to our viewers when it comes to leadership, when it comes to keeping your integrity and sticking with something and serving the community that you're in?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. And again, you definitely have to be genuine. I'm usually pretty good at doing my homework, believe it or not. And I get involved in many, many things. And people will come in to see me on whatever the issue might be. And I'll usually say to them, you've got one of two choices. And they'll say, what's that? I'll say, I can tell you what you want to hear, or I can tell you the truth as I see it, and I emphasize as I see it, in my judgment. And most people will say, please don't tell me what I want to hear. And it doesn't surprise me. They want to hear the truth as I see it. So you got to be genuinely sincere with people and not telling them they want to hear. Because one of the toughest things that a politician can have to say is the word no. When somebody wants to come in with something that is of interest to them. It might be, something that they really want and need, but I know that possibility of maybe having to say no is there. So I'm not afraid to say no. And at the end of it all, they appreciate the honesty and being right up front with the individual. So that's the part of it that's kept me in office for quite some time. what you see is what you get. There's no facade on it whatsoever.
So it's really inspiring to sit here and talk with you, learn about you and learn about the town of Milton. You know, it just goes to show that even after, you know, a few decades,
Yeah.
you still have that, I could tell you have that love for the city, you have the love for the people, and you still want to serve where you can. So, you know, it is inspiring. And thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah.
Mayor Gordon Krantz, the longest serving mayor in Canada, thank you so much for joining us.
And have a good one. And to all the listeners out there, you know, thanks for your enjoyment, hopefully, on this little presentation that we have done here today. It's keeping you informed as to what goes on in your and my community.
And I am Ahmed Ramadan for Muslim Network TV, and this is GTA Muslims Today. Please stay tuned for more intriguing and interesting interviews and coverage of places and areas and lifestyle around the GTA. Let us know in the section below your comments, your suggestions, and stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum.